I was standing in a backyard under a cheap string of lights, wearing a suit that finally fit, when three kids raised their hands and signed, "I love you" at me at the same time, like it was the most natural thing in the world. One was my son Theo, the other two were the twin daughters of a CEO who once walked right past them at a party while they sat invisible against a wall. If you had told me back then that a broke black janitor and two deaf little girls nobody talked to would end up a family, I'd have laughed. But everything changed the night I stopped pretending I didn't see them and signed one small word, hello. Back then, I was not the calm guy with a ring on his finger. I was just Jonah Rains, 35, running on 3 hours of sleep, bouncing between construction in the day and janitor shifts at night at Litton Dynamics, trying to keep my kid fed and the lights on. I liked that job because the uniform made me invisible. People talk over you around you like you're part of the floor. And being invisible felt safer than remembering who I used to be. Before I was an ASL instructor at a community center, husband to Mira, dad to Theo, a man whose whole life lived in moving hands and silent laughter. Then one Tuesday, Mira's heart just stopped while she was making lunch. I came home to sirens in our kitchen, and every sign I knew suddenly felt like pressing on bone. I quit teaching boxed-up photos, told myself I didn't have time to fall apart. Work, sleep, repeat. If executives looked through me like I didn't exist, fine. I didn't want to be seen anyway. The night it started, Litton threw this big charity carnival in the glass atrium, all balloons and face paint and photo ops supposedly for the kids. Donors posed under banners about inclusion, while I emptied trash and wiped frosting off the floor. Near the balloon table, I saw them. Two little girls against a pillar, maybe 6 identical cherry dresses, big puffs in their hair, knees pulled to their chests, while the whole party spun around them. Kids ran right past without slowing, parents avoided eye contact, nobody said their names. A pack of kids rushed by with balloon swords. One twin lifted her head, hopeful for half a second. Then they blew past like she was furniture, and the light left her face so fast it hurt to watch. Small devices hooked over their ears, eyes on mouths, not music too still for kids that age. Deaf or close. My first instinct was simple, don't do this. Because sign language wasn't just a language, it was Mira's voice, and touching it felt like betraying the grief I'd wrapped myself in. I gripped the cart handle and told myself to move on. Then the girl on the right looked straight at me. Not through me like everyone else at me, like she was checking if I was another person pretending not to see. You know that look when someone's been dismissed so many times that hoping would be embarrassing? That was her. And in that second, I heard Mira in my head. Jonah, you don't walk away from kids who need your language. So I let go of the cart, left it in the middle of the fancy floor, walked across the atrium and sat down on the tile in front of them. The event planner hissed my name, people stared, but my hands were already moving. Hello, my name is Jonah. What are your names? Rusty, shaky, but there. They froze, then the girl on the left signed, I'm Isa, this is Lark. I signed, those are beautiful names. Why are you sitting way over here? Lark's answer was a knife. Nobody talks to us, they talk around us. No anger, just fact. So I gave them one of the old dumb jokes from my teaching days. Do you know why elephants never forget? Because nobody ever tells them anything worth forgetting. It was awful. For a beat, they just blinked then. Isa's mouth twitched. Lark's shoulders shook, and suddenly both were laughing. Those big silent laughs that take over your whole body. I leaned in, did a ridiculous seated dance, told them about a dog I tried to teach to sign, who just licked my hands, watched their faces go from gray to lit. Phones came up. Parents whispered. Up on the balcony, Dr. Arya Litton, the CEO, stopped mid-sentence watching her daughters, because of course they were her daughters, cracking up with the janitor. She cut through the crowd, heels sharp. The twins straightened the second she neared Joy, folding tight, which told me enough. "You know sign language?" she said. "Yes, ma'am." "They're my daughters." She went on quieter. "I haven't seen them laugh like that since before the accident." Shame flashed across her face. She glanced at the room, then back at me. "I need to speak with you after your shift. Please don't leave." One board member brushed past and muttered, "Stay in your lane, Jonah." I didn't answer. Issa and Lark watched me like they were afraid I'd vanish. Later in the break room that always smells like burnt coffee, Arya sat across from me without the public armor. She told me about the crash that took her husband and most of her girls hearing, about burying herself in work and programs and never truly learning to talk to them. "You made them feel seen in 5 minutes," she said. "I couldn't do it in 18 months. I want to pay you to teach me properly. Teach me to talk to my girls." I told her about Mira, how I used to teach, how every sign after she died felt like grabbing a live wire. Arya didn't pity me, didn't rush. She just said, "They deserve better than my excuses." She was right. I agreed with one condition: Issa and Lark came to every lesson. This wasn't PR. This was family. We started the next week in a glass-walled conference room. Arya came with color-coded notes, but her hands tangled on basic signs. Issa would sigh and fix her. Lark would turn practice into a competition. I watched this woman the world called brilliant let herself be bad at something important in front of her kids and refuse to quit. Session by session, the twins' shoulders dropped, their eyes lit up, mine started to as well. Sign stopped being a tomb and started feeling like a doorway again. 3 weeks in, my neighbor who watched Theo got hurt, and I told Arya we'd need to pause. She shook her head. "Bring Theo." So I did. He walked into that lobby, small and tense. In the conference room, Issa and Lark stared. I introduced him, then held my breath. Theo hesitated, then lifted his hands. "Hello, my name is Theo. Nice to meet you." I hadn't seen him sign like that since Mira's funeral. The twins exploded with excitement. "You sign?" they asked. "My mom was deaf," he answered. "Issa signed. Our dad died too." Lark added, "We talked to him anyway." Theo nodded. "I talked to my mom. They just got it." Then Lark signed. "I can do a handstand, want to see," and within minutes they were collapsing on the carpet, laughing, while Arya and I watched our kids stitch themselves together. After that, lessons turned into something else. There were takeout boxes on the table inside jokes in sign, Issa teaching me slang, Lark racing Theo through fingerspelling. Arya started picking the girls up herself, coming in straight from meetings and dropping to the floor to practice. I ran ASL workshops for staff because she said, "If this place says it cares about accessibility, we start here." She created an accessibility coordinator role and offered it to me. Real pay, real hours, real say. When an exec complained about promoting janitorial staff, Arya shut him down. "I'm promoting the person doing the work." Yeah, that happened. That was the twist. Realizing I didn't have to accept the box I'd been shoved into, and that someone up top was willing to back me when I stepped out. Somewhere between trainings and late nights, Arya and I started talking after the kids were asleep. Not about quarterly reports, but about panic guilt, the weird ways grief shows up in grocery aisles and school plays. We didn't crash into some movie romance, we just kept choosing to be honest. The first time she tried to sign "I'm scared" and fumbled it, we both laughed, but we understood each other perfectly. Our kids got there faster than us. Sleepovers, shared notebooks, 3 little heads bent over the same screen with captions on. By the time we were under those backyard lights, almost 2 years had passed since that fundraiser. Theo stood beside me in a too-big suit, Isa and Lark in matching dresses bossing guests around like tiny event managers. Our wedding was simple. Arya spoke and signed her vows, thanking me for giving her daughters their language back and for not treating them like a problem to fix. I signed mine and said she'd given Theo his joy back and proved that using Mira's language didn't betray her, it honored her. When we kissed, the kids threw petals and all three signed, "I love you" at us like a promise. And here's where I want you to step into this with me, because none of this would exist if a janitor hadn't broken an unspoken rule and sat down on a polished floor with two kids he wasn't supposed to engage, if a CEO hadn't admitted she failed and decided to learn, if three grieving children hadn't taken a chance on each other. So tell me, was Arya unforgivable for waiting so long? Or do you believe people deserve a second chance when they finally show up and do the work? Was I wrong to cross that room and ignore my lane? Or is that exactly what more of us should do when we see someone pushed to the edges? Have you ever watched a cleaner, a deaf kid, a quiet parent get treated like they don't count and stayed silent because speaking up felt awkward? Drop your thoughts in the comments, argue with me, share your own story. If you've ever been the invisible one or the person who decided to see them. And if this hit you even a little, share it with someone who needs a reminder that sometimes one small hello is all it takes to change the whole story.